Goal of the 9-yard line. Hamilton keeps it. Touchdown.
And we've got to thank God every minute of every day. It's your boy, One Live Stu Ryan Stewart, hanging out with my guy, the quarterback himself, former Heisman quarterback, 1999, the runner-up. He should have won it, but we're not going to do that because we do it just about every show. We're not going to do that tonight. Joe Ham is in the building. How you feeling today, Joe?
Man, outstanding, man. Extremely blessed, my friend. Extremely blessed.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man. You know what? I mean, when you count your blessings and you be thankful and grateful for a lot of different things, the mistakes, the fallbacks, and some of the errors throughout your day, throughout your week, they become overshadowed, man. They become overshadowed. And if you decide to move on, if you decide to say, hey, listen, I'm okay. God's got me. I didn't fall down. I can get back up. There's really no such thing as failure unless you stop going. Then you can go on with a great day, even though you might fall short, even for an entire day. There's something positive you can get out every day, including just saying, hey, man, a smile, a wink, breath. Man, my God, man. It's all good, brother.
Who created that song, Shake It Off, Shake It Off? I mean, who sings that one, Joe?
I don't know who sang it or sings
but
it,
she's
but
right.
If it comes on, I can sing right along.
Right. She's right, man. Shake it off, no matter what it is, man. If you wake up, you winning. You got a chance to do it again. You got a chance to get it right. You get a chance to give thanks and praise to the man upstairs, which is why we start every show that way on Stewart Media and Entertainment, at least when I'm on it. You see my glasses are broken, Joe.
Yeah, well, I see you messing with it.
Ask me what happened, Joe.
Well, what happened, Stu?
The basketball was so ridiculous this past weekend. I knocked my glasses off my face onto the counter, knocked them off the counter onto the couch, jumped up screaming at the game, sat back down on the couch, on the glass.
Right on them. Oh my goodness. Now, was that event or was those circumstances happening because of the last second shot by Maryland?
It was the Maryland game. It was
the Maryland game.
I broke my glasses on the last shot of the Maryland game, where I believe the freshman said, "Give me the freaking ball."
Give me the ball. Now, Stu, I would say your knowledge of basketball and my knowledge of basketball is quite the same. I wouldn't say my knowledge is better than yours. You know the game. Now the skill set.
I know it, Joe, but yours is probably better, Joe. You won a couple high school championships, Joe.
I know
yours
that.
Is probably a little bit better.
I do know that, but that doesn't mean that my knowledge is better. I'm saying that because maybe the talent and maybe the skill set is better, but just the talent of knowing the game, knowing what you're watching, knowing the rules. And I bring that up.
Agreed.
Well, I brought that up, Stu, because did you think initially watching that last second shot by the freshman that was a travel? Or did someone have to explain the gather, the extra step, and you get one and then two? Because old school tells me, and if somebody in the backyard of somebody in Alvin Community Center, somebody at the Berkeley middle school we used to drive by and play every now and then with some of those Berkeley guys in your hometown, I would have called. I said, walk. That's a walk. I would have initially said that's a walk.
Because of, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I'm your boy, One Last Stu Ryan Stewart, co-hosting this thing, and go have a good time. We're gonna have a good time. Joe wants to get straight to it. Joe wants to get straight to it. Joe wants to get straight to it, so that's what we're gonna do. I was fine with the no call, and I would have been fine with the call had there been a call. But Joe, I've seen on too many nights at both levels in the NBA and in college where they might get a whole full steps, where they might shuffle their feet and pick the ball. I've seen it so many times, it doesn't bother me no more.
It bothers me. It bothers me, and this is what bothers me is what you just said. You would have been fine either or. This is not a charge. No. But Stu, hear me out for a second. This is not a charge to where did he slide his feet under him? Was he set? Did he have, did the guy leave his feet?
It's easier than that. It's easier than that.
Yeah, did you give him room to land? A traveling call should be just like a double dribble. Is it a double dribble or is not? You shouldn't be satisfied whether it's a double dribble or be a traveling. So my point is, I would have been fine either or, but it's something you got to say that, is that a walk or not? And now, because I slowed it down, I've heard the analysts, Jay Will and, Jay Billis. I've heard all those guys, even Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and those guys on the CBS set say it's not a walk. Clark Kellogg, it's not a walk because he gathered. Then it's not a walk. So again, I look at it that way. So it can't be subjective. Those type of calls, we can't go there to where a walk can be subjective.
But you agree with me. You just agree with me.
No, but it shouldn't be one way or the other. No, it can't be for me, for you and I. Yes, it could be either or. But for the refs, the refs shouldn't be. It should be just like the analysts say. Nobody I watch that are professionals and they analyze the game. Nobody said that was a travel. That's my point. I was talking to you and I. Nobody said that was a travel. So the refs got it right. And the coach didn't complain, so they got it right. I'm just saying, old school basketball, what I grew up on, that would have been a travel. That's
okay. Okay. Lots to cover in the world of college basketball. Lots to cover in the world of the National Football League. What do you know? Opening day, Major League Baseball, 2 nights away. Tomorrow night is Wednesday, and then on Thursday, ball meets bat. Looking forward to it. We'll get into a little bit of that as well. And the National Football League will be having its NFL draft, what feels like right around the corner. It's taken a long time, but it's literally right around the corner. We're going to get into that too. It is your boy, One Last Two, Ron Stewart. I am spending time right now with the Heisman runner-up in 1999, Joe Ham, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. When it comes to the 64 getting down to the 32, getting down to the 16, first weekend being gone, please tell me what you really enjoy the most or what you like about this format the most.
I didn't see many blowout games. I didn't see many blowout games at all. I love that. They were very competitive. And if a game got out of hand, I'm not just talking about the Thursday, Friday game of opening week or the beginning of the tournament. I'm talking about the next game to get into the Sweet 16, and not the 116 matchup or the 215. You normally see or you normally think that would be a blowout type game. I understand that. But as you got closer and when you got to the second game to try to get to the Sweet 16, that's when things picked up a little bit. That's when the coaching strategies picked up to where if a guy had 2 fouls in the first half, do you sit him down? Do you let that guy play with 3 fouls leading up in the second half? I'm looking at all those things. And, oh, by the way, when you get, 1, 2, and 3 and 4 making it out of a region, I like that. When you get, 3 or maybe 3 number 3 seeds, 2 number 2 seeds, and all 1 seeds making it, I like that. Do I like Cinderella, Stu? I absolutely like Cinderella. I like Cinderella, and I like those great stories. But those stories can only carry you so far as a basketball guy, as a guy that wants to have 3 minutes left in a game, and it's coming down to maybe 1 or 2 possession where strategy comes into play. I don't, because I have never seen a Cinderella win it. Cinderella is always a good story when you talk about the Butlers of the world, Loyola Marymount, FAU one time. Those are always good because those guys get the experience making it to the Sweet 16, making it to the Elite 8, and further down the road. What?
You know what this is. You know why there's 16 teams left, and one of the highest seeded teams is a team that's been coached by one of basketball's best. He's a Hall of Famer in Calipari, and they started off in the SEC, who had 14 teams represent them at 0-5. You know what it is.
Yes.
College basketball and this tournament, when it comes to Cinderellas and it comes to 16 beating 1s and 15 beating 2, no. The NIL portal has changed that forever, Joe Ham. Give me your thoughts and your take on that, because that's why there's no real – I mean, the mid-majors that had a Steph Curry or the mid-majors that had these bomb players, those guys have been seen and they've been paid to come over here. Okay, and that's what, in my opinion, is why we saw what we saw when it comes to a lack of Cinderellas going into the second weekend of this tournament.
That's well put, and I'll double down on that because I love the word you used, and you said forever, and for the foreseeable future, unless somebody in the NCAA can gather and make better decisions, that's what it's going to be about. Because Steph Curry, you mentioned Steph Curry and Davidson. Steph Curry would have never played or started 4 years at Davidson if it was NIL and transfer portal going on, because he would have transferred to a school that would use his name, image, and likeness. And it's not necessarily all about the NIL, which it is, because the lower half of the SEC, you can go all in and buy a team, or you can go all in and pay for a team like Ohio State in football, like they did. So when you can get a roster, when you can pick off for somebody else's roster and say, I'll pay you a little bit more, I'll give you a little bit more playing time. That's what's happening here. And even the transfer portal, say goodbye to the mid-majors. Because why? Because the experience. The mid-majors have always gotten into the tournament. But if I'm a Power 5, Power 4 conference now, and I see a guy balling in the mid-major and getting playing time, that basketball is going to go in the hoop. That basketball is going to be dribbled the same way. If you can blow by guys, if you can shoot that jumper, that can travel. So now I'm going to go poach. Now it's almost recruiting. Now I'm going to go to the mid-major. I don't need to go to another Power 4 conference, the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, or any of those schools. I can go to the mid-major and revamp my team that way. And I've always brought up this year to Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl has 4 of his 5 starters, man, out of the transfer portal.
I was going to talk to you about that. So please remember what you were going to say. Remember what you were going to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only does he have 4 out of his 5 starters out of the transfer portal, he did an interview. It was either last night or the night before on one of the networks, and he was openly talking about not being afraid of that portal, using their portal, building around that portal. And in my mind, he was openly recruiting some players that were at smaller schools that showed potential. Like, there's opportunities on this side if you guys want it. The audacity of Bruce Pearl, in my eyes, to openly recruit during the tournament after his team is going into the Sweet 16, it's kind of mind-blowing, man. But it's almost like it's the Wild Wild West.
Well, it's so smart. It's so smart. And the reason why it's so smart is because I have the number 1 team overall. My team, the Auburn Tigers, we possess the number 1 overall seed, not just the number 1 in the region, overall seed in the SEC, where they had 14 teams in, and then 7 of those 14 teams made the Sweet 16. So when I say that I'm going to actively look in the portal and I'm going to get some of my players from the transfer portal, from mid-majors, a mid-major school, and I'm still playing, and I got a chance now to play at a high level and hold up a national championship, why not take an extra advantage of doing recruiting? And with that being said, he's not even talking about poaching other guys' players in the SEC. He's not talking in the ACC. He's talking about going whereas guys, and that's what it's all about. Remember, Stu, that's what the portal, football, basketball, what have you, was meant to be. It used to be that where if I went to a Liberty, or if I went to an Appalachian State, or I went to some of those mid-level schools, which they still play high-level sports and basketball or football. Gonzaga, and I outplayed that. And I had only 1 scholarship, and I went there because I only had 1 scholarship, and I said, oh, wow, I can ball. And other people that didn't give me a chance because of whatever happened in high school, I didn't have the stats, I wasn't tall enough, wasn't fast enough. I'm going to show them. And then now I can go up. Right. I have no problem with a mid-major leaving and going up. Matter of fact, I have to settle in to anybody. If you're not a mid-major and you want to go and transfer, I have to be okay with that. But I love the fact that the transfer portal, that NIL, and that's the thing about the mid-major and the upsets now. The mid-majors, they can't pay. They can't pay the players. They can't compete NIL-wise. They can't compete.
But what they can do, they can't pay at the scale of bigger schools, but they can invest 251 player, 400, 501 player, maybe. You know, I don't know, Joe.
No,
You
it can't work. It can't work.
My mind and my heart is for the player and for the benefit of the player. And I do want the $20 million roster that the D1s and the big boys have. Yeah. I do want that to filter down to the mid-majors and the D2. I do want that to filter down. But at the end of the day, that's not life. There's Fortune 500 companies, and then there's these other group of companies. It is what it is.
And I want to say this right quick, too, what I love about college basketball and March Madness. Most schools, they don't have to go all the way in or to the Final Four or Elite Eight to have a successful basketball season. I love that. McNeese State. Don't you think that McNeese State winning that first game, they had an outstanding tournament? I mean, they didn't get to the Final Four. They didn't get to the Sweet 16, but they won their first NCAA tournament game, and that's a successful basketball season for them, and they can do some damage in recruiting because they did it on the national stage, because everybody saw their coach, saw the mascot, saw that guy on the sideline with his boombox doing the making some NIL money. So I'm telling you, so that even all the teams in the Sweet 16 right now, if they were to lose, now you get the Duke and the Auburn and, Houston and some of the number one seeds, the Blue Bloods. You get them losing in the Sweet 16. It wouldn't be as successful because they are saying Final Four and holding up and cutting the nets. I understand that. But for some schools, it's a successful season in basketball just getting to the Sweet 16, and I love that.
In the Huddle with Joe Ham, I'm your boy, one line student, Ryan Stewart. We could talk. There's too many storylines off of this past weekend where we could settle and talk. So there's one or two things that we'll hit. We already mentioned the Maryland shot. Huge shot by Maryland. A team that, I think Joe Smith when I hear. I think several greats. So they've had those moments in the tournament.
Len
Bias. Oh, my gosh.
God bless his dead.
God bless his dead. Joe, two Titans in college basketball played this past weekend, and Rick Pitino and Calipari.
Yeah.
Rick Pitino sat the Big East Player of the Year. Incredible talent on his team. And I want you to explain why that happened, how that happened, and if that was something that Rick Pitino probably should have thought twice about doing because of said NIL and transfer portal that we've already been talking about. If a kid can really stick it to somebody, if the Big East Player of the Year, after being what some people saw as being mistreated when it comes to a star talent not being used in an Orca big spot, in a situation where he could have contributed and could have helped, despite having a bad game prior to that point.
Interesting word you use, mistreated. Boy, mistreated, that's strong. I will say this. I think Coach Pitino, he overthought it. I will say Coach Pitino, he sat there and he wouldn't have done that 10 years ago. He wouldn't have done that 5 years ago. Matter of fact, I don't think Rick Pitino would do that if he was playing this weekend. Rick Pitino, and I understand sitting RJ down, biggest player of the game, player of the year. I understand sitting him down, get a breather, letting him know, have the assistant coach or one of his teammates say, hey, man, you're taking some bad shots. I'm open. You're fortunate. Let the game come to you. And even sit him for stretches of the game. But I do not understand for the life of me, and Rick Pitino let me down because he's coached so many basketball games. He's coached so many superstar players. He's been in such tight games and knowing the ego of players and how they respond and knowing what defenses have to do when you have a go-to player like that. So when you have a go-to player like that, although he's not making his shot, he needs to be on the basketball court. That's where I think Rick Pitino, and let me be very clear, Rick Pitino is an outstanding basketball coach, and I do not know more than he knows at all. And I cannot sit there and coach on the level he can coach on, but I can judge his decision making. I can judge what I feel in a basketball moment down the stretch, what I feel about, and I feel that Rick Pitino and sitting that guy, he didn't sit him for a breather. He sat the Big
That's
E's
his
player of the
game.
year for the
Right.
last 5 minutes of the basketball game. And here's the thing, Stu. And here's the thing, Stu, that kind of
A game at one point in time when they were only down by 7 points, 8 points. So they had this still a game where 2 shots and 2 steals, you up a score.
Yes, and everybody knows. Now, do you want your best player shooting until that rim opens? Yes. What do you tell shooters? Shoot, shoot, shoot. Would you rather your superstar? Well, I'll tell you this. I would rather my superstar, my player of the year, my go-to guy, I would rather him go 2 for 13, 2 for 16, or 7 for 20 than him going 1 for 6. All right, because 1 for 6, then you're not aggressive. 1 for 6, then you're letting the rhythm you're in and your shot making ability dictate how aggressive you are. But when you sit him down for the last 5 minutes of the game, you made it easy on John Calipari and his defensive staff. You made it easy on those guys from Arkansas defensively because now they don't have to watch him out. And I'm not talking about him being a decoy. That's besides the point. Him being a decoy on the basketball court, being aggressive, carrying it to the hole, drawing attention, and dishing it out. He could have been more effective.
He also had 7. He also had 7 boards. So it wasn't that he was being lazy or wasn't getting stats. He had 7 boards. I mean,
he was just off, Stu. He was just off. He was just off with his shot. It wasn't. And I would ask, Coach Pitino. Was he loafing, Coach Pitino? Was he not getting back on defense? Was he making sloppy passes? Did he show you bad body language? What caused you to sit him down? What caused you to say, "Hey, man, I don't. Your plus minus is so bad, I cannot play you." And I guarantee you this. And I guarantee you, not without the shadow of a doubt, but I'm high up there in the 80, 90 percentile that Coach Pitino is regretting that move. Coach Pitino is scratching his head and asking around to his peers, his professional peers, what would y'all have done? Did I make the right move? And he's a Hall of Famer, all-time great, but even them could get caught up in the moment a little bit and overthink it. And to me, Stu, I thought he overthought that decision. And to sit him down for that long, and maybe he couldn't have forgot. I almost tried to give him an excuse. He couldn't forget your best player for a whole entire 5 minutes. So he made a decision, and he stuck by it. And I think it cost his team the victory.
In the huddle with Joe Ham, I'm your boy, One Life Stu, Ryan Stewart. Before we get out of the world of college basketball, man, I was remembering a conversation we had a while back. Going into weekend number 2 in the NCAA tournament, don't you reseed your brackets?
Yes, I love it. Yes, and I love doing it. And I'm telling you, I don't mess around. If I got a pool and I fill out a bracket that's going to a work pool or it's going to some friends, or you fill the ESPN 18 million brackets, people fill out a bracket for those guys. Whether you're doing that, that's fine and dandy. But when the Sweet 16 comes, I reset it. I reset my mind. I reset what I see and how I assess these teams. And the reason why is because in the tournament now is the regular season, it's the conference championships, and then the NCAA tournament. Those are 3 seasons, in my opinion. Everybody goes into the field of 65, 68, undefeated. Everybody is either riding on a roller coaster up or riding down. And I love seeing those 2 games. I love seeing those 2 games, how they playing, how they moving the ball, are they injured, are they healthy, all those type things, because that Proctor from Duke, that shooting guard from Duke.
Incredible.
Now, you almost going to have to say, what is going on with Duke now? Because with him shooting like that and Cooper Flagg, because what he's done in the last 2 games. I'm not talking the regular season. Proctor has been the best player in this tournament. So not to say that means them to the favorite, but you're going to judge who you think is going to win based on those things.
They are a number 1 seed, so that is a part of their seeding. So he is, I mean, he's like 11 for 13 in 2 games from behind the arc.
Right.
He only missed 1 shot, which was a 3-pointer in their last game to take him to the Sweet 16.
And I think he's touched the rim on those shots he made maybe once or twice. I mean, they're going straight in off the dribble. His teammates are finding them, and that's why I like, and I don't mind chalk is what they say, what they call it, where everybody that's expected to win, they're winning, because it leads to better matchups, it leads to better coaching, it leads to better talent overall as far as depth, going 7-8 deep, to where it's not really a mismatch. It comes down to execution, fundamentally sound, not turning the ball over, not making stupid fouls, having high energy. It takes a lot. I love Cinderellas, but would you like for Auburn or Houston or Tennessee or some of those guys going up against a McNeese State or one of those? Now, it's a good story, but we know how that's going to end. I like the Blue Bloods playing each other. It makes for a better lineup. It makes for a high-impact basketball, and I love it.
You may need to get ready for that, because that's all we might be seeing moving forward. It is in the huddle with your boy Joe Ham. I'm your boy Ryan Stewart, One Live Stew. Before we get out of the world of college basketball, let's talk about the women's game just a little bit. Do you think South Carolina, who's being disrespected in my eyes right now, not being talked about as much as they should be, do you think they're going to get Dawn's third title in the last 4 years, I believe? That's A. And part B, how devastating was the injury to Juju out there at Southern Cal?
Well, I'll start with part B first. Very devastating. It was devastating for the game of women's college basketball, first and foremost. That's a superstar. As far as you talking about players, she's one of the faces of women's basketball, along with Paige Beckers from UConn. That's a devastating blow. And hopefully they rally around USC, the Trojans, rally around her, rally around for her, and they're able to move on, because my goodness. And when it happens, Stu, when you tear your ACL like that, your heart goes out, because it's the rest of this season, is almost the entire next season, because it's already March. So, I mean, you're losing it. ACL, 6 to 7 months. I know now with technology and rehab, you can get better, get back a little faster, but it's still the feel, it's still the comfortability of maneuvering on it. She will be stronger, but she will be missed.
Not to be petty, and we'll let you get to point A, but not to be petty, it was reported a couple of weeks ago how after 2 seasons, she surpassed Caitlin Clark in where she was after her second season. So the first thing I started thinking was, and I'm a huge Caitlin Clark supporter. Some people even say that she's my boo. But we're not going to go there today. We're not going to go there today. Okay? But I immediately started thinking the way that she's playing, and she surpassed Caitlin already in 2 seasons. If she stays for 2 more, she's going to blow Caitlin's numbers out of the water. And the first thing I thought about when I saw her fall down and grab her knee was, there goes that record, And I know that's kind of petty, but she's just that huge, and she's that much of an icon and the face of the game. To see that injury and to think about that record probably being gone and not being able to be obtained by her now, it was just really sad in my eyes, man.
Yeah, and that's how you draw them up, Stu. When you look at superstars, you draw them up being humbled, very high skill level, big time smile, being able to make every shot, do everything on the basketball court, galvanize the whole entire program. Galvanize, put USC back on the map, so to speak. Yeah, your heart goes out to it, because the postseason numbers count. And so she's going to miss the rest of this postseason and, the start of next season. And you definitely know she's not probably coming back for a 5th year. She's going to be 4 and done. But when you say Dawn Staley getting disrespected, when you go back to point A, Stu, it's going to come down to 2 outstanding, iconic coaches, in my opinion, to cut down the nets. It's going to come down to UConn or the USC Gamecocks. That's where it's at. Because, yes, you can name a really, really good star or 3 really good players with UConn and Fudd and Beckers. And I forgot the next one. But then again, when you look over at the Gamecocks, you think about the coach. I know Fuwali is very, very good. She comes off the bench, very energetic, being the 6th woman coming off the bench. But you look at the coach. You look at South Carolina being so deep with All-Americans, McDonald's All-Americans. And that last game at USC kind of opened my eyes just a tad bit, and I wonder, and this is going to sound a little crazy to you, I wonder if they have too much talent. And when I say too much talent, who's the go-to player? Who's the player when it comes down in a nail-biter under 2 minutes? Do you let the ball find the open person? Do you let the ball movement, player movement, screen game, create holes and create space for guys to shoot, or is somebody that said, this is my ball, I'm going to make it happen. Now, only having 6 players score 11 double digits, that's fine on the surface. But when you get down to the final moments in this NCAA tournament, when you're playing against a Gino Auriemma, who are you going to specifically? So I think it could be an over-talented team as opposed to where UConn has a superstar in Paige Beckers that they can go and get a bucket, no doubt about it. But, again, I think it's going to come down to those 2 coaches.
I understand, man, and we're not going to use any platform or store media and entertainment to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. But before we get out of the world of college sports, Kirby's talking about how it's getting harder to coach the players. And he wasn't just referring to star players, in my opinion, even though I think we understand why it would be harder to coach them. Give me your thoughts on Kirby making that statement and telling the public that, and probably telling them that for a reason.
Yeah, and I loved what Kirby said, and you're absolutely right about the Bulldogs. But what he was saying, it just struck me, and I asked myself, why? Why is it harder, coach? Why is it tougher to coach these guys? It wasn't tough 20 years ago. It wasn't tough 15 years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago. I mean, what? I mean, Kirby's a 2-time national champion. I mean, when did it get so tough? It got tough, Stu, because guys are entitled. It got tough because guys don't want to push themselves anymore. And the minute you say that, if I see a change of speed, if I see you go from one speed and I say, pick it up, and then you change speed, that means you were once loafing. If you can go from one speed to another speed, that means you were loafing at one point in time. Okay, so
you wasn't giving me your all.
Yes, yeah. So when I fuss at you for a mistake, and I fuss at you because we just came out of the meeting room on the chalkboard and install, and then we just had a walkthrough, and then we get on the football field and we go through periods and we go through different drills. And if you're not applying it, and I get on you, I'm not talking about the mistakes because you're gonna make mistakes. But if I have to rip you a new one, if I have to call you out, don't go in the tank. Don't throw your hand up like you are. Why are you fussing at me? Who do you think you are fussing at me? Well, I'm the coach. And it goes back to, and I hate to keep on bringing this up, but students, the world we're living in, this one goes back to NIL. This one goes back to, as soon as a freshman come on campus, they've already been paid either in high school with NIL and have endorsements, or coming in, stepping in before any spring ball, before any fall camp, making a lot of money. So therefore now I don't have to run these stairs as hard, or I'm not as hungry. We used to like to say, are your ribs showing? Are your ribs showing? That whole thing means, are you hungry or are you full? So these guys are coming in now as freshmen, even sophomore, full. They're not they're not hungry.
It's in the Huddle with Joe Ham, and I don't want to do this, but
please disagree.
But I'm not disagreeing, but there's still a handful of players that are busting their tails and giving it their all every single snap in practice and on the field on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yes.
So I think that there'll be enough of those to make the cream rise to the top and to continue making a difference. But as a player we just talked about a little while ago, even Juju Watkins this past weekend, in my eyes, was disrespecting her coach big time. She was getting coached on the sideline and wouldn't even make eye contact with her coach. Her coach was clearly trying to get a point across, and she clearly wanted her coach to know that she wasn't interested. Yes. And she wanted everybody else that could see them conversating, she wanted them to know that she wasn't interested. Juju's making $795,000 this year. Whoa. Juju's coach, because of Juju, got an extension where she's making $7.5 million, got a contract. However, prior to the contract and prior to Juju was probably higher paid than she was. That's why this happens now.
Well, see, Stu, and you're right, and this is not, I'm disagreeing with you, but I think that's situational. That's situational. That's not being able to affect the team. That's not being a cancer throughout the team. Being a cancer is you kind of, you loafing, or you think you're entitled to something. You think you've gotten a gift already, or you have made it already. We don't see that you're a bad body language. We don't see that when something happens to where you mess up, you think that you're beyond coaching. I think Kirby was alluding to that overall as the players. Now, you're going to get some, and like you said, hopefully, some of the team of veterans, they can pick up the guys, or they can see it. The best teams that I've been around, the best teams that I've been on, the best players police the best players. It's so easy if you're the best player and you to look down on somebody on the bottom of the totem pole. If you're a senior All-American and you're going to pick on a true freshman or a walk-on and try to prove your point. No. What about that guy over there that just is a senior as well, an All-ACC player, and he's loafing? What about that guy over there and he's, didn't want to practice and he's loafing because he's got money? I don't want to say because I don't know for sure if it's just money in the pocket, but anytime you see guys not willing to be coached and corrected, that's going to eventually affect the entire football team, or basketball team, because I've always said there's no way on a team that you can go 2-8 and I can go 8-2. So therefore, I have to clean you up too, or you have to clean me up. We all have to hold each other accountable. So I think that's what Kirby was alluding to, that I need more players just not being entitled, being able to get coached and corrected, because the bullets is going to start flying soon. And remember, he's saying that because most teams now, they are in spring ball, so he's trying to coach those guys up.
Before we move into the world of the National Football League, one more thing in the world of basketball. Did your Final Four change when you reseeded that 16?
It sure did not. Nope.
Okay.
It did not. It did not.
Okay.
Still,
can you share the Final Four with us, please?
Yes, I have the Final Four being Houston, Auburn, Duke, and Florida. And I have Duke and Florida, and Florida is playing such good basketball, very physical. And I have Florida and Duke playing in the national championship game, and I have Duke cutting down the nets, and then we're going to have Luther singing it down, One Shining Moment. I can't, man. I tell you, I look forward to Luther singing One Shining Moment. I've stayed up for, man, my whole career, my whole life, just waiting on one shot. The ball is tipped.
In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Let's get into the National Football League, man, and what's going on. The draft is 1 month away. Who do you think would be the number one pick, Joe?
Well, my goodness, man, Cam Ward today had an outstanding pro day workout. And I've always wondered what the Tennessee Titans want to do. Do you go best available player, or do you go need? Now, that's a team that's going to need a lot. And is Cam Ward the best available player? And he's not. He is absolutely not the best available player. That would be number one, Travis Hunter. That would be number two, Abdul Carter from Penn State, the defensive end. That's just a man-child. Remind me of, another guy, number 11, that played at Penn State, in Micah Parsons. So when you look at it that way, I would go Travis Hunter, man, if I'm the Tennessee Titans. And that's what I'm excited about, the Tennessee Titans really evaluating this thing and really thinking about what can we get out of here? Do we value Cam Ward as a generational talent? Do we value Cam Ward as a guy that can be a 12 to 15-year starter in the National Football League, leading us to the playoffs, being a guy that can attract free agents, being a guy that can galvanize the locker room and show great leadership? And I think he can. He shows me he's shown me in every stop he's been that he can do those type things. That's not my doubt. My doubt is that I don't think he is generational. And everybody doesn't need to be generational to be the number one overall pick as a quarterback, as we've seen in the past, in the last 10 years, even in the last 5 years. But when you look at Travis Hunter and the Tennessee Titans, why wouldn't you think about getting two players in one? Why wouldn't you thinking about, when you say Travis, when I'm talking about Travis Hunter, why wouldn't you think about Travis Hunter as a top 10 wide receiver? Travis Hunter is a top 5 defensive back. Okay, so now if you draft the number one overall, then I understand he's not going to play 110, 115 snaps total in the National Football League.
Well, even though I think he has the capability to, I mean, that's a good point. There were a couple of games we had over 100 snaps in college football, and I know it's a different level in the National
Yes.
Football League.
Yeah.
But if he's getting 100, 115 on Saturday, he can play 65, 75, splitting them almost evenly on Sundays.
Yeah, and that again, who am I? And when Travis Hunter says that, who says I can't? Why can't I? I've been doing it all my life, and he's shown us what kind of talent he has or he possesses. So who am I to doubt him with that? But I say this due to just to piggyback of what you just alluded to about he did it in college and he played in college with the endurance, with the physical ability. To me, it's a little bit more than that, because now you're talking about film study. Now you're talking about practice habits. Now you're talking about concepts and being able to, have the intricacies, the details of playing one position or the other. How can you really divide that time to be with your DB and your DB coach in the DB room and your wide receiver coach and your wide receiver coaches? Because let's look at all-time greats. There's never been an all-time great that's divided rooms to where you can say, I'm going to have to practice something else. I'm going to work on this particular craft to be the best and hopefully one day hold up a gold jacket. But now when you have to divide it, that's the only thing I wonder if Travis Hunter is able to do mentally as far as the playbook in the NFL.
I agree. I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't argue your point. We share the same sentiments. However, he is a gym rat. He is not a drinker or smoker, a partier. Yeah. He is the first in the building, the last to leave. He studies film. Yeah. He's a historian of the game, would often be in Prime's office when these plethora of videos would come out, would often be in Prime's office while Prime and coaches were doing what? Studying film. So there's nothing from the last 4 years of watching him at Jackson State and in Colorado. There's nothing that doesn't tell me he's going to be in the building every day, all day, trying to be the best football player he can be. There's nothing that tells me otherwise.
Yeah. Boy, I totally agree with that. So that goes back to my point. What I'm trying to make, or what I would do with my little bit of research and knowledge about the situation, the number one overall pick. That's why I would go Travis Hunter. Everything you just alluded to, I would go Travis Hunter because, again, you are able to get two players in one. You're able to get an impact player. And again, you can build. That's a guy that you can build on as cornerback. You can build on as a wide receiver. And if you want to, which you're not going to put him in the return game, special teams. But if you want to have somebody say, I want to play with Travis Hunter, that's what's going. What about marketability? I mean, God, goodness, the man just signed a shoe deal with Adidas, and there's only two other DBs that's ever signed shoe deals in Darrelle Revis in prime time. So what's happening here? And I would say this to you, that Cam Ward, it would be a reach. And it's not a reach for talent, it's a reach for the number one overall pick. It would be whether you would go for need in the case of the Tennessee Titans, which they need a quarterback, and you must have a quarterback to win, over best available. The best available, because sometimes I feel that you can build a team around a quarterback. Yeah. Or a second quarterback and not your franchise quarterback, and then all of a sudden plug your quarterback in, whether it be free agency or somewhere through the draft. So that's where I stand about that, man. I might be wrong. I think I'm wrong because Cam Ward with his pro day today showed a lot. The zip, the pizzazz. He did a lot in his pro day today, and I want to talk about that briefly, Stu, just about the expectations and what you can get out of a pro day.
Okay.
What was Cam Newton? I keep on saying Cam Newton. Shout out to Cam Newton. But Cam Ward, what he was able to do today is show his leadership, show his pizzazz, show his interaction with his former teammates who he had running routes, former teammates who he had coming out of the backfield running swing passes and wheel routes from the backfield, angle routes from the backfield, seam routes. Huddle those guys up and call plays, how he's able to direct guys and formationally, how he's able to place the ball. You're able to see him throw up close. Remember, he did not throw at the combine. Yeah, your medical doctors and all those guys were able to touch him and see him physically. But for the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach, the head coach, Coach Callahan, now they're able to see him up close, see his interaction, see his body movement, his body language. You are able to get, and because it's scripted, And because you're knowing you're going to throw maybe 70 to 75 passes, you should be deadly accurate. You should be on time. You should hit guys in stride. Yeah, you're going to have some incompletions because you're a human, but everything should be kind of perfect because you've been working on this for the past 3 months. So even the huddle call, even sometimes when you're scripting these things as the quarterback coaches get you ready for the combine, they might say, come up to the line of scrimmage and call an audible. Whether you said Omaha, or, Apple, or
Right.
over, whatever you're saying, or you directing traffic there, all that bodes well for leadership, the command you have, the aura you have, whether you can come in command or your commanding room. That's what they want to see. That's what I think he really accomplished today. And he did it very successfully of showing those guys I can throw, see how it comes off my pinky finger in the spiral, see how it comes up with the velocity, see how I move with my feet. So all those things I think is a plus, but that's what the general managers from the Titans, the Giants, and Cleveland, top 3 picks, got when they saw Cam Ward this day.
You mentioned the Titans. They do have the number 1 overall pick. In your opinion, will they be going with the best need for the team, which a lot of people are saying would be Cam Ward in the quarterback position? Or will they go with the best talent on the board, that being the Duke player that we just talked about for the last 30 minutes?
They're going with Cam Ward. They're going with Cam Ward because, again, Cam Ward is not such a drop-off that you cannot draft him. Cam Ward is going to drop out of the top 10, so you're not reaching. You're not reaching. He's not going to drop out of the top 5, to be honest with you, with his talent, his skill set, the way he's was able to lead Miami in ACC and to lead the nation in pass touchdowns. So they're going to go with the need, and they're going to go with the interview process. And Stu, that's why it's so big for that interview process at the Combine. He had dinner with them earlier this week with the Titans brass or upper management, GM, owner. That probably went well. He was able to carry himself the way he needed to carry himself, like a franchise quarterback. So all those things they're going to put together. I just don't think that the Titans are there yet to where they have other holes. They have so many holes. Is that the best? You can always go best player available with so many holes. But to get a need and a guy you're sure about, to have your quarterback for the future, I don't doubt that. And I'm not mad at that. And I definitely feel, in my opinion, it's going to be Cam Ward, but that's not what I would do.
Joe, Cam Ward deserves all the talk. I think he's got the strongest arm that's coming out in this draft. One of the most prolific quarterbacks in college football history, even though it was 3 different places. He lit every place up where he was. Okay. That being said, I think that what Shedeur Sanders has done and how he's won without having an offensive line, I think it is to be commended, and I do think that he's going to be a great pro. Do you agree or disagree with Shedeur Sanders being a great pro?
Oh, I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. And again, I don't quite know what separates them. If the Tennessee Titans wanted, or they're going to go the quarterback route, I can't quite put my hand on a distinctive difference between Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Now, I know on the surface that Cam Ward has a stronger arm, but that is it. I know on the surface, Cam Ward might be might look more athletic, and he might can extend more plays than Shedeur Sanders. But there are a few different ways that you can extend plays. You can extend plays the Lamar Jackson way, or you can extend plays the Joe Burrow way. You can extend plays the Peyton Manning way, or you can extend plays the Michael Vick way. It's about pocket awareness. It's about knowing the coverages. It's about manipulating that coverage that you see. It's those type things. The IQ for Shedeur Sanders is through the roof. I heard his dad, primetime, say that Shedeur Sanders has missed one game in his entire career. Started the whole entire every game in high school, every game except one in college. Every game in JV, he missed one game, and that was big.
That's a lot of football. That's why Bo Nix is so good. He's played so much football in the last 6 years.
And make sure and that's why Michael Penix is going to be very good.
That's right.
And that's why you saw Jaden Daniels was very good. Jaden Daniels played 6 years in college. They played a lot of football. So again, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be an outstanding pro. And to be quite honest with you, and not to compare those guys, but they're going to be compared their entire career with one another, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders would have the better career and I think he's more fit to handle where he's going, because I think Shedeur Sanders is going to end up. Well, I thought he was going to probably end up in Washington, but that's a done deal now. That's a done deal because Washington just in the past couple of days, they just signed Jameis Winston, 4-year.
Not Washington. You mean New York, not Washington. You mean New York.
I'm sorry, New York Giants. New York Giants.
Yeah.
The New York Giants just signed 2 quarterbacks.
Yep.
They signed 2 quarterbacks in Jameis Winston, 2 years for $8 million. Up to $14 million, $16 million he can make if he plays, which he's not going to play all those. He's not going to get those incentives because they're going to bring Russell Wilson in to actually do what? Start. So I don't see them having Shedeur Sanders, Russell Wilson, and Jameis Winston and the Giants. So I don't know where. If the Cleveland Browns don't get Shedeur Sanders, I don't know where Shedeur Sanders is going to fall.
Well, one of the blessings about that is the farther Shedeur Sanders falls, the better team he'll ultimately end up on. And yes, everyone wants to be the number 1 pick, but typically the number 1 pick got a hard road to go because they're going to the worst team in the damn league. If Shedeur finds himself falling 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 spots, they're caked up. Money in a situation where it's going to be a problem for him. So the further he drops, the better he would ultimately be when it comes to having more tools around him to have early success at that position.
You know a lot of football players. I know a lot of football players that dreamed about being in the NFL, including you and I. Long-time dream growing up. Have you ever met somebody that actually said that they wanted to be the number 1 pick? No. I've never met anybody. I've only heard somebody say, I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to get drafted. I want to go to the NFL. I might have heard somebody say, I want to go in the first round.
You're a good friend of someone that was the number 1 pick.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Lived Joe, a half a mile, 2.5, 1.3 miles away from me and Courtney Brown. Number 1 overall pick, and boy, were we stunned. We were stunned because why were we stunned? Because we didn't see it coming. We didn't see it happening. No, we knew how hard he worked. We knew what kind of skill set he had, but we all always grew up to, dominate the NFL, dominate college, win national championships. To be the number 1 overall pick, Alvin, South Carolina, I mean, goodness gracious, man. And again, that would always be an honor. You can always have that on your resume. I'm just talking about going into it. Very few people say that's what I want to do. It's normally get there or win a Super Bowl, but it's not to be the number 1 overall pick.
Shouts out to everybody in the chat room, man. We appreciate y'all, man. We may get to read some messages, but we're doing what we usually do here, and we're burning through the time talking about so much and getting different directions or pivots from what's being said while we're actually doing the show. So thank you to everyone in the chat room for rocking with your boys. It is In the Huddle with Joe Ham, and it does go down every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Thank y'all for pulling up. We will try to get to some chat. Your boy, Brock Purdy, is in the news. They're saying that he's about to get his deal. San Francisco says he will be getting a deal. But I'm hearing that the deal will probably start with a 5 in the front, like the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the league has right now, or that it may be Dak-type money. Give me your thoughts on Brock Purdy, man, and what kind of deal you think he'll get, or ultimately deal he should get.
Whoa, would get, should get, and that's the deal. That's what I've been thinking about, Ryan Stewart. I've been thinking about what has he earned, and how do you look at him? Are you going to pay him as the best player or best quarterback in the NFL? Well, clearly he's not the best quarterback in the NFL, but what has he done in the NFL in his short stay in the NFL, his short starting position in the NFL? He's done a lot. And Dak Prescott has really messed this thing up, because what has Dak Prescott done? Please tell me. He's been to a couple Pro Bowls, yeah. Has he been to a Super Bowl? No. Has he gone to the NFC Championship game? No. What has Dak Prescott done? So now he's sitting at 60. When you look at the top quarterbacks now, if you Brock Purdy, the top 10 numbers, you're going to have to start with 5 in your name, San Francisco 49ers and John Lynch, the general manager. You're going to have to start with a 5, no matter if he's Mr. Irrelevant or not. No matter if he's the last pick in the draft or not. That was the draft. So, Stu, you're not doing it. Why? Why are you not doing it? And I'm not talking about because let me give you an analogy right quick. Is that if Trevor Lawrence is a free agent and Brock Purdy is a free agent, you're going to get Trevor Lawrence in a minute. If Justin Herbert is a free agent and Brock Purdy is a free agent, you're going to get those guys in a minute, right? Herbert in a minute. But their production doesn't show that.
Right.
Their production doesn't show that. You got Trevor Lawrence sitting at $55 million. You got Justin Herbert sitting at $52.5 million. And you got Tua Tagovailoa sitting at $53 million, Stu. Yeah. So you were sitting here and telling me if I'm Brock Purdy's agent, I'm going to let that fly? I understand Josh Allen. I understand Joe Burrow. But these guys, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, even Dak Prescott, they have done nothing. Right. They have done nothing. Right. So now you're going to say my production doesn't matter.
Right.
And you're going to say, because you don't bring this up. I'm sorry, Stu, but you don't bring this up. You don't bring any other of the skill position. You don't bring up the team around. You don't bring up McCaffrey and the wide receivers and, whoa, that's a loaded team when you're talking about anybody else. I mean, doesn't Jalen Hurts have a loaded team?
So I've seen all the guys you've mentioned that with the 5 in front of that number of the contract. I've seen all those guys win games without their star pieces. All of them.
No, you have not, Stu. No,
you have. I have. Yes, I have. Tua down in Miami when Hill's been out and injured. If he's upright without a concussion, he still wins ball games. He takes his cup to the playoffs.
He's won some games. I mean, come on now. Come on.
Yeah. When Debo is out, when Kittles is out, when McCaffrey's out, you don't see Brock Purdy. He can't get no 6 like that. He can't.
Well, 6. Only one person's a 6.
He won't deserve no 5 like Love. He won't deserve no 5.
That's another one. When have you seen Love do that? Dude, so that's what I'm talking about. See, I'm not even bringing up that Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Lamar. I'm not bringing up those. I'm not bringing up the. When have you seen Trevor Lawrence do it?
I didn't bring up Joe Burrows. I didn't bring up Josh. I didn't bring up.
I'm fair with that. I'm fair with that. And if somebody's going to bring that up,
I talked about less than when I was mentioning my quarterback that's got a 5 in front of their name.
Oh, absolutely. So now if I'm talking to John Lynch, the general manager, I'm bringing up those guys, those less thans that I'm talking about. I'm bringing up the Herberts. Yeah, I'm bringing up. I'm saying less thans, and they're making $50 million a year. And they're making $50 million a year. What makes? If I'm the agent of Brock Purdy, what makes Jordan Love better than Brock Purdy? I mean, are we going when they're drafted? Are we going production? Are we going winning? All of that has to be somewhere down the line in it. And you know what, Stu? I thought about this as well, that at some point, this market is going to have to get reset. It can't keep on going. It can't keep on going now. Who's next? Who's next? Brock Purdy shouldn't be the next highest paid quarterback. I'm not saying that. But when I look at this,
going down, sir. That's the going down.
Yes, but when I look at this list,
and remember, mark it here. You heard it here in the huddle with Joe Ham. You heard it here. Wednesday night. What's today's date? Today is the 26th. You heard it here first. San Francisco is not going to give him no 50 anything. It's going to be something with a high 4, or it's going to be a high guarantee.
No way.
But it's not going to be no Dak Prescott money. It will not be Dak Prescott money.
No. There's absolutely no way. That would be bad age. That would be bad
business.
Agent can, however you want to put that to it, that would be bad on his agent. That would be very, very bad on his agent, because there's no way I'm gonna sit there and let Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, and all those guys. And you go to injury. You went to Stu. You went to what if these guys get hurt and having people around them? You don't ever do that, Stu.
Right.
You don't ever do that, right?
Right.
You don't.
I really do that. What you dealing with back there, Ham? okay.
My goodness.
Okay.
My fault,
It's
brother.
in the huddle with your boy Joe Ham, man. It's okay. We get it together. Now it's swinging in the back. Go ahead and finish your thought, man, before we wrap up. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, yeah. I was just saying, Stu, that when you
And we're talking about Brock Purdy and that money he might get.
Why do we not bring that up with everybody? We don't. We don't bring that up with everybody. We just don't bring injuries and the weapons up with everybody, and because everybody needs weapons around them to play well. Everybody. That's my whole point.
Yep. Before we jump in the huddle with you for a second, Joe, very briefly, MLB opening day starting on Thursday. Are you going with the Dodgers or the field?
I'm going with the Dodgers, and that's crazy. And that's crazy why it's being baseball, and I can't wait. I can't wait till tomorrow, Thursday, opening night, opening day. It's just an exciting time. I can't sit here and tell you that I watch 162 games of baseball and I'm tuning into the Braves every night. No, that would be the untruth. But boy, Sunday night baseball, Wednesday night baseball, and great matchups, I am watching. And here's the reason why I'm going with the Dodgers. Very seldom you want to go with with one team, because anything when you get in the playoffs can happen. The Braves were a very good example of that when they won their World Series recently, three years ago. But the Dodgers, man, they're so deep. They're not going to have all those players slump at one time. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. My goodness, you can just jog them out there after. They have 4 former MVPs on that roster right now, and a very good manager in Dave Roberts. So it's unlikely, but with that much talent, man, and that payroll that they don't mind spending, it's hard, very hard for me to go against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
We're wrapping up in the huddle with Joe Ham, and while we're in the huddle with Joe Ham, it's time for us to huddle up. That's right. The quarterback himself will spend some time with us in the huddle, dropping us a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of knowledge. What you got for in the huddle tonight, Joe?
Yeah, Stu, I'm sure you remember when we were in college, young, before we turned 21, we all, tried to get, I did, speak for myself, try to get up or find a fake ID. Anytime you can find somebody that looked like you would try to get your hands on it just to try to sneak in some clubs, be a little bit older. But one thing that was a fake ID. And some things I've been going through lately and just, putting my mind to it and saying to myself, that's a fake ID. All right. That's not the real you. Where's the real you? You need that real identity. The real identity is in the righteousness of God. That fake ID is going to call you an addict. That fake ID is going to say that you can never succeed. That fake ID is going to really hamper all day on your mistakes and your failures, your shortcomings, your setbacks. That fake ID is not going to tell who you really are. It's going to tell you who you aren't, to be honest with you. But if you get that real ID and you put your whole mindset, like I have to do it every single day, put my mindset on who I am, my identity, put that ID in my pocket, the ID of Christ, the ID of God. If I put that in my pocket and keep that in my pocket, there's no room for that fake ID. And that fake ID might be on that shelf. It might still be there for me to look at and try to pick it up, but I have to really reset myself again and say, no, that's a fake ID. That's not who I am. Let me step back in this righteousness. Let me step back in this, this healing. Let me step back in this, winning that the real identity provides you with, man. And that's in the huddle, my brother.
In the huddle with Joe Ham, and this was in the huddle with Joe Ham every single Wednesday. Right here on Stewart Media and Entertainment at 9 p.m. Good show tonight, sir. Good show tonight, man. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm excited about Tennessee. I'm excited about Duke. I'm excited about a few teams, man. I'm excited about Arkansas and what they're doing. I'm still excited about the SEC. I think Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday will be an incredible time watching college basketball, man. And I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm also looking forward to spending more time with you next week, man. Same Wednesday, 9 p.m. spot. Everybody in the chat room, sorry we didn't read any chat, but thank y'all very much. We greatly appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing y'all in the morning at 7 a.m. sharp on YouTube and or Facebook for your boys, the Two Live Stews and the Two Live Stews Experience. That was In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I'm your boy, Ryan Stewart. We do appreciate you. God bless you. And we see you in the morning.